Hello! The first video in this series focused heavily on damage, because being able to effectively deal damage isn't only crucial, it keeps you alive and it's fun. So what I want to do with this next video is supplement that damage by looking at gameplay aspects that improve your effectiveness. Now, a core concept from that first video was not creating a well-rounded character early on, and that's still true. We want to minimize any early investment into your league starting character that isn't damage focused. We're just going to apply some well-roundedness to your brain instead. It's your character that deals in big damage and you that deal in smart decisions. No fluff, just substance. First up, we're going to have a look at having a mobility focused mindset. For clarity, that doesn't mean running away from everything and kiting monsters like the Pied Piper of Rayclast. It means understanding how to position your character for this fight with an imp, the next round against the pack of wolves, and then the scrap with the zombies. It also means understanding how and when to make the most of any mobility skills you have. You could even say a mobility skill which saves your life is more important than an attack skill which slaughters an enemy. And the sooner you appreciate positioning, the sooner everything becomes calmer, no matter how messy a situation looks. The first concept I want to talk about is tunnel vision. When I started PoE2 at launch, this is what I saw. My visual focus was fixed on what my character was doing. It reminded me of learning to drive, where initially I couldn't look at anything else apart from the car directly ahead. After spending a bit of time behind the wheel, my vision widened. But you don't need to spend the hours learning this the way I did, not if you go into the game with the seed already planted. Now, having the skill to interpret what's on the screen quickly shifts your position from one of reacting to one of preparing. You instinctively plan the fight with the imp, the next round against a pack of wolves, and then the scrap with the zombies. And this ties directly to mobility. So alongside asking you to look at every corner of the screen, there's a few universal things everyone can do. Number one, don't stop moving. PoE2 lets you move and use your skills, so do it. Remaining stationary isn't an option. Number two, develop a style that combines forward movement with damage. While you're in the middle of your current fight, position yourself to flow straight into the next. 3. Get used to kiting. Make any stragglers who didn't die with the main pack follow you. If there's magic monsters with annoying ground effects, don't wait until the coast is clear, drag them along. Just don't ignore killing magic monsters because the XP for them is good. 4. Get used to being up close and personal, even with a ranged character. You are going to get swarmed at some point, and getting out of the swarm or killing your way out of it are skills you need to be comfortable with. 5. Dodge rolling. Practice it from the riverbank. In this clip, it might look like chaos, but it's all controlled. I'm just dodge rolling to make things look frantic. 6. Sprinting. Practice this from the riverbank too. Learn how the short bursts feel. Learn how stopping feels, and even how tightly you can take corners. We want to be minimizing the periods of time where we are not moving towards the next objective or dealing damage. We want to master movement, and doing it early gives you the best resource of all: control. Understanding how to pilot your character helps you move better. Understanding what your objectives are helps you to move smarter. And the main objective you need to lock into first is don't fully clear zones. A strong league start means progress at a decent speed, and fully clearing zones significantly lengthens your campaign. Now, you might think you're missing out on stuff like XP, and sure, you are, but you will overlevel by fully clearing zones, and overleveling means your XP returns tail off rapidly. If anything, you're better off being a level or two below the area level to get the best XP returns. You might think you're missing out on loot and potential upgrades. The truth is, the chances of this are very slim. Trust me, I've played this game since launch and RNG hates us all. You will genuinely have stronger equipment if you improve and craft upon your current gear or any new bases that you find, rather than relying on RNG drops. Now when it comes to map objectives, if you see an icon with a plus sign, that's a guaranteed improvement for your character, and this means you need to explore the zone and complete the objective. These map objectives are critical, do not skip them. This is where you get the skill books that give you more passive points, bonuses to resistance, life, spirit, and so on. Mobalytics have a fantastic list of all the permanent buffs and useful items throughout the campaign written by Lolcahol. I'll link it below. It's definitely worth bookmarking. The mental shift of not fully clearing zones will speed up your early game more than any damage upgrade. Okay, now we're thinking about how we move and where we move to, let's look at how the type of damage we're dealing affects things. Every attack or spell in PoE2 has a damage type: physical, cold, fire, lightning, and chaos. The elemental damage types all have an associated ailment. So while you've been slapping everything with your lightning arrows, you might have noticed this icon on your screen. That's your lightning attacks building up towards inflicting an ailment called shock. Now, cold attacks inflict chill, and that builds up to freeze. Fire attacks inflict flammability, and that builds up to ignite enemies. It's genuinely useful to incorporate an elemental damage into your offense. Right now, the best option to include is lightning damage, primarily for the ailment called shock. So, having a bit of lightning damage on your gloves, ring, weapon, wherever, is going to enhance things. This is because an enemy suffering with the shock ailment takes 20% increased damage, and that's huge. Then you add in the fact that it has its own stun, and it's a tiny bit insane. Shock is easy to apply and incredibly useful. It's hard to advise against not looking at taking advantage of shock in your league start. So hopefully you're looking at weaving a bit of lightning damage into your character. What's also important is the method with which we dispatch enemies. There are two fundamentals with which you deliver your offense: clearing and single target. Clearing is all about eliminating groups of enemies rapidly, and that means we're looking to target multiple enemies using skills and mechanics that synergize to deal lots of damage over large areas. Single target is dealing high amounts of damage to single targets, bosses basically, and the occasional annoying rare monster. And getting the best from your character means being proficient in both. Even from an early stage, if you can identify what your goal is for a skill, you can begin to utilize it in a way that works for you from the outset. Here's an example of how synergy works for me. My character in this series is a Lightning Arrow Deadeye. Lightning Arrow is the core skill for both clear and single target. It chains to multiple enemies, which is perfect for clearing. Because it deals lightning damage, it helps to build up shock too, and that's something we've just talked about. If we need to deal with multiple packs of enemies, lightning rods add bursts of lightning damage. And tying this back into positioning from earlier on, if you can funnel monsters into the lightning rod fields, everything gets fried. And that's it, two skills that take care of clearing. Now the single target. What's great about the lightning arrow skill is that it forms the backbone of your single target damage too, and that just makes life simpler. And that's because our single target plan is just about enhancing lightning arrow. Here's how it's done. Number 1, we drop more lightning rods to create more lightning bursts. Number 2, we use a skill called Frostbomb. Frostbomb applies a debuff called Exposure, and Exposure decreases total elemental resistance. Lightning Arrow obviously benefits from the drop in resistance. More lightning rods mean more bursts of lightning damage. And don't forget the shocked enemy is going to take 20% increased damage too. Then there's Barrage. And that's a cooldown skill that lets us fire off 3 lightning arrows at once for a nice serious damage spike. So what we've done is create a single target setup for when we need to dispatch a boss or deal a big spike in damage. So single target rarely needs a brand new skill, it just needs a system. And this is when your combat starts to feel intentional, not improvised. So when you're adding a skill, don't just look at how much damage it can do, decide what job you need it to do. Now we're starting to identify how we're making a damage focused league start function more effectively. Let's round things off by talking a bit more about survivability. Let's start with the defense types. From your early gear, I find the additional life buffer of energy shield is the most useful. That's followed by armor, which helps mitigate any damage from hits you take. That's hits, not spells. Armor won't prevent damage from spells. You can't stack enough evasion to make it super reliable this early on, so avoid solely relying on it. There's also some affixes to look out for on your gear that can help keep your journey smooth. On your helmet, body armor and belt, life regen is always something I like to have, even for the simplicity of not needing to use a flask as often, and if you can find a bit of resistance too, fantastic. When it comes to your gloves, if you're a martial weapon user, damage increasing affixes are the priority here, and they're not too difficult to craft if you choose to invest a bit of early currency. For casters, those same damage increasing affixes add damage to attacks, but not spells unfortunately, so utility and defense are better options for you. Remember, we're not going for perfection, we just want to keep the friction minimal. For your boots, there's only one affix, movement speed. Try and get the maximum movement speed for your level. This is super important and I mentioned it in the previous video too. I'm going to leave this on screen so you can grab a screenshot of the levels new movement speed tiers unlock. This is when I start identifying any new boot bases which drop, and also when I start checking the shop for upgrades. Rings next, and there's damage for everyone here, casters and weapon users. You can find ruby rings from level 8, sapphire rings from level 12 and topaz rings from level 16, and each one of those has an impactful resistance early on too. If you can add or find a damage affix on one of these rings, that will look after you for a lot of levels. For your amulet, what I think is important early on is the base type, and since each base provides a unique implicit affix, I'd start by looking at which implicit works for you and take things from there, because your amulet can add damage, utility, defense, anything. And my last shout out goes to rarity. I like a bit of rarity on my gear at all times, so I will look to add that into where I can. I won't sacrifice damage for rarity, but defense, we don't really care about defense. Getting your gear affixes right will add lots of small increases to your momentum. Getting the most out of the tips in this video will absolutely make your league start smooth. And that's what this mini series is here to do. Give you practical, to the point advice that's easy to implement and has an impact. It's not about being perfect, it's about confidence, control and clarity. If you've got any questions or feedback, drop me a comment below. Part 3 is on the way. Thank you for watching and good luck.